You can cross oceans, change your name, shed the skins of old stories like autumn leaves slipping from the trees. You can reinvent yourself beneath distant constellations, dye your hair, learn a new tongue, surround yourself with laughter that never knew your sorrow. But if your body keeps humming the frequency of old survival, if your nervous system plays the ancestral chords of vigilance, longing, or despair, have you truly escaped? This is the illusion, the great mirage of freedom. That geography or circumstance can sever us from the living architecture of our inherited vibrational code. Yet there is an awakening that waits like a silent portal inside the breath. It calls you not to run, but to return. For what you seek is not escape, but presence. What you seek is not a new horizon, but a new relationship with the landscape within the architecture of sensation, the resonance of soul in bone, blood, and breath. Hermetic wisdom whispers, the all is mind. The universe is mental. Mentalism. The first law reminds us that creation, perception, and experience are born from consciousness. But here, in the sacred temple of your body, mentalism is not a cold abstraction. It is the living current that shapes your pulse, your reflexes, your very sense of self. The body is a chalice for mind, a field of vibrating potential. Every thought, every word unspoken, every story remembered or forgotten, vibrates in the silence between your cells. We are each born into an ancestral signature, a vibrational code encoded in the very architecture of our form. Epigenetics, that new map of inherited memory, affirms what the mystics have always known: we carry more than DNA. We carry a resonance, a harmonic signature, born of generations. Trauma, too, is not just an event, but a frequency, a pattern in the nervous system, a way of organizing sensation and perception. Science shows us the body keeps the score, yet the soul longs not to be scored, but to sing. Close your eyes, if you will. Notice how the air brushes the inside of your nostrils. Where does your attention rest? In the mind's restless drift or the quiet portal of sensation? Right now, notice the echo of silence beneath your thoughts, the vibration before language. This is the doorway. The moment you choose to feel rather than flee, you step across the threshold from escape to embodiment. Imagine yourself standing inside a great cathedral of silence, your own body, luminous and alive, waiting to be remembered as a temple of soul. Each cell rings with ancient music carrying the legacy of those who came before and the potential for new harmonies yet unsung. The question arises, gentle as morning light. What if true freedom is not an outer achievement, but an inner frequency, a living resonance within the temple of your being? Let this be your first gentle invitation. Rest your awareness in your body. Feel its living codes, the silent portals within. Ask yourself, not with judgment, but with curiosity, where am I still carrying the frequencies of the past? Where is there longing for a deeper homecoming? The journey of liberation begins here, in the willingness to listen to the ancient, vibrating silence within. The body is not a blank slate. It is an ancient instrument strung with the living codes of memory, echoing with the music of ancestors. Each bone holds the resonance of those who have walked before you. Each sinew, a song of survival or surrender, hope or heaviness. This is not just poetry, but a field where science and soul meet, where epigenetic markers, tiny chemical signposts, remind your cells of storms and sunlight they never saw. Epigenetics shows us that trauma is more than a personal event. It is a transmission, a living current passed like a silent heirloom. The child of the famine feels hunger even in abundance. The grandchild of the exiled feels unrest in a world at peace. It is the inheritance of unspoken sorrows, but also of silent strength. Hermetic law speaks here as above, so below, as within, so without. The law of correspondence is alive in your tissues, a living testament that the patterns of the universe are mirrored in your own form. But you are not doomed to repeat these frequencies. The soul is a sovereign observer, able to transmute energy through awareness to become the living alchemist of its own inheritance. Quantum science hints at this too. The observer affects the way attention itself changes the state of what is seen. What you bring presence to, you transform. What you meet with conscious feeling, you begin to recode. In this great dance of liberation, the sacrum, a small triangular bone at the base of your spine, holds a forgotten key. The sacrum is more than structure. It is a hidden portal, a foundation stone in the architecture of the soul's temple. In many traditions, it is seen as the root of vitality, the basin of kundalini, the place where the serpent of awakening coils. Somatic therapists have found that the sacrum often tucks under bracing for impact, bearing the charge of old fears. It is here, in the subtle movement of this bone, that the first practical pillar of vibrational liberation reveals itself. To unlock this portal, rest your awareness at the base of your spine. Feel the gentle weight of your sitting bones against the surface beneath you. Without force, begin to imagine your sacrum as a bowl of water. On your next slow inhale, gently tilt the sacrum forward, letting your pelvis tip just a hair, as if pouring a single drop of water forward. On the exhale, let it return to center. No pushing, only invitation. This movement is subtle, nearly invisible, a living code, reawakening. Feel into the resonance. Does it invite safety release or resistance? Notice how the wave of this movement ripples upward, whispering to your spine and nervous system that a new pattern is possible. Consider the life of the body. How often, even at rest, the base of the spine is tight-gripped, armored against imagined blows. Hannah, too, once carried this tension, a constant bracing, an inherited posture of vigilance. For years, she felt disconnected, restless, not realizing that the sacrum, frozen in a centuries-old pattern, was holding her in the frequency of flight. Only when she learned to invite this subtle movement to create a wave of release from the base upward, did she feel the first hint of freedom, a silent sigh echoing through generations. Let this be your gentle experiment. With each breath, invite a drop more softness to your sacrum. Imagine the inherited frequencies melting a living code, rewritten in silence. Ask yourself, what do I feel when I rest my awareness at the base of my spine? What ancestral signature lingers there, and what new resonance wants to awaken the body? Remembers, but presence is the great liberator. There is a doorway between silence and expression, a threshold in the living architecture of your face, the jaw. To most, it is merely a hinge for speech and nourishment, but to those who listen within the jaw is a hidden vault, a chamber of polarity holding the unsung songs, the cries, the laughter, and the unspoken fears of countless ancestors. It is the portal where will and surrender, voice and suppression meet in a silent pact. The Hermetic law of polarity teaches that all things exist on a continuum. Every emotion, every impulse, every truth. The jaw is the gatekeeper of this polarity, clenching with what could not be spoken, loosening with what longs to flow free. Modern science is beginning to glimpse this ancient truth. Somatic therapists and the HeartMath Institute reveal how tension in the jaw is directly wired to the heart and gut, sculpting the body's response to safety or threat. When the jaw softens the vagus nerve, the body's great harmonizer can sing its song of rest and healing. Quantum language gives us another metaphor. The jaw is a frequency dial adjusting the resonance of your entire being. It is the observer effect made flesh. With a single act of attention, you change your internal world. When you unclench even a fraction, you change the electromagnetic field around your heart, shifting your baseline from stress to presence. You are tuning your soul's instrument, reclaiming vibrational sovereignty from old codes of silence. Pause and draw your awareness to your jaw. Sense its weight, its tension or ease. Notice if your teeth touch, if your tongue presses the roof of your mouth. Here is a living code. Inherited patterns of silent submission or survival passed like pearls or stones from one generation to the next. For some, the jaw is the stronghold of anger never voiced, for others the fortress of grief swallowed but uncried. Begin the second hidden movement, the practice of unlocking the ancestral jaw. With each slow breath, let your tongue rest gently on the floor of your mouth. Allow the teeth to part, just a whisper. On your next inhale, imagine drawing breath, not only into your lungs, but also into the hinge of your jaw, an invitation for spaciousness, for silent liberation. Exhale, and sense of a wave of release follows a warmth, a tingling, perhaps even a tremor of old emotion rising to surface. Move the jaw softly side to side as if you were saying a silent yes to presence, to being here now. This movement is more than anatomy, it is alchemy. You are opening a portal in the temple of your face, welcoming the soul's voice home. Hannah found this doorway too, though she did not name it at first. For years, her jaw was clenched so tightly, it ached each morning, a silent inheritance from a lineage that learned to survive by not speaking. The first time she practiced this movement, breathing into her jaw, letting it soften without forcing tears, arrived silent and without story. She felt a veil lift, a resonant shift from constriction to possibility. With time, she discovered her voice not as performance, but as vibration, as her soul's signature emerging from silence. Let this be your invitation. Feel into your jaw's living code, its ancestral signature. What have you held there, not only for yourself, but for those who came before? What new frequency wants to emerge if you welcome softness, if you claim the portal of presence in your own face? In this gentle act, you honor both tradition and transformation. You become, in the quietest way, a living bridge between what was and what can be. Deep in the body's cathedral, where breath rises and falls like the ocean's ancient tide, lies a gateway as old as spirit itself, the diaphragm. Invisible yet ever present, it is the living rhythm maker, the silent bellows that stirs both wind and fire within. Here, in the domain of the diaphragm, we meet the law of rhythm. Hermetic truth that all things rise and fall, contract, and release, come into being and return to stillness. To awaken the diaphragm is to open the soul's temple to new air, to allow life's energy to pulse freely. Modern neurocardiology calls this heart coherence, the moment when breath and heartbeat dance in harmonic alignment. This is not just a mechanical function, but a vibrational code, the very frequency of peace, of safety, of belonging. Breath is the instrument by which spirit writes its poetry upon the flesh. In quantum language, the diaphragm is the observer's threshold, the meeting of intention and manifestation. Every inhale is a silent invitation, a wave of possibility. Every exhale, a letting go, a return to original silence. Trauma science now tells us reshapes the breath, binds the diaphragm in patterns of vigilance and freeze. The child who braced against a world too loud learns to breathe only in the upper chest, robbing the temple of its living rhythm. Yet the body, ever-wise, holds the memory of deeper breathing, the code of liberation waiting to be recalled. Bring your awareness now to the soft space beneath your ribs, the place where your breath deepens if allowed. Feel the diaphragm, not as a distant muscle, but as a living altar, a silk hammock suspended between earth and sky, holding you in the present moment. With your next inhale, imagine your breath dropping down, inflating the belly and the lower ribs, inviting a fullness you may have forgotten. Pause at the top, sensing the gentle expansion, the living code of possibility. On the exhale, let the belly fall softly, feeling the weight of release, the subtle pulse of return. This is the third movement, the hidden pillar of vibrational awakening. Breathing open the soul's temple. You might place a hand just below the sternum, inviting warmth and awareness. With each cycle, notice not only the air moving, but the quality of energy, the frequency shift within. The mind may wander, the body may resist. This too is a rhythm, an old signature, seeking new resonance. Hannah on her journey found the diaphragm to be both a battleground and a sanctuary. Years of shallow breathing, of tightening against the chaos of childhood, had left her body starved for oxygen, her heart beating the staccato of perpetual alert. When she learned to greet her breath at the diaphragm slowly, with reverence, without judgment, she felt the axis of her world tilt. Gradually, the panic receded. Colors became more vivid, sounds less harsh. She realized through practice that each deep breath was a new message to her body. You are safe. You are home. This is your temple, your living architecture, your birthright. Let this be your practice. With each breath, open the diaphragm not as an exercise, but as an act of remembrance. Ask yourself softly, what is the rhythm of my breath? And what does it tell me about my inner world? Can I let the living code of my breath become a portal to presence, to silent liberation? In the simplicity of breath, the soul's temple is rebuilt, vibration by vibration. And so the journey comes full circle, spiraling inward like a cosmic dance into the living testament of embodied liberation. Through the sacrum's gentle wave, the jaw's silent opening, the diaphragm's sacred rhythm, a new architecture is born in the temple of the self. Yet these are not merely techniques, they are invitations, portals, and living codes for the soul to remember its own power. This is where Hannah's story becomes a mirror for your own. In the beginning, she believed freedom was an outer act, a new city, a new relationship, another milestone reached. Yet her body hummed with the old frequencies, the ancestral signatures encrypted in flesh and memory. She felt, without understanding, the harmonic misalignment between her outer achievements and her inner vibration. There were days when the world praised her strength, but she could feel the tremor beneath the surface, a longing for something she could not name. It was in the gentle practice of these hidden movements that everything began to change. The sacrum, once braced and frozen, began to ripple with subtle waves, inviting a sense of rootedness she had never known. It was as if her very foundation was singing a new song, harmonizing with the living codes of the earth itself. When she softened her jaw, the pressure of unspoken words and generations of silence began to dissolve. She realized that to unlock the jaw was to unlock the truth, not just her own, but the legacy of every ancestor whose voice had been hushed. And then, through the diaphragm, she learned the art of belonging. Each breath became a new portal, a message from her soul to her body. You are safe here. You are sovereign. This is your home. Slowly, the patterns of vigilance and contraction unwound. The world did not change overnight, but her frequency did. Where there had been armor, there was now spaciousness. Where there had been inheritance, there was now choice. She became the observer and the creator, weaving her own reality in harmony with both science and spirit. Hannah's story is not unique. It is an archetype, a song sung by many in the silent language of the body. We all inherit the architecture of the past, but we are also the alchemist who can transmute its codes. Hermetic wisdom reminds us that vibration is the basis of all manifestation, and modern science agrees every thought, every movement, every breath is an act of quantum creation. Presence is the secret ingredient. Attention, the sacred fire. The movements you have learned, the sacrum's wave, the jaw's release, the diaphragm's breath, are not ends in themselves. They are living invitations to return to become vibrationally sovereign, to reclaim your body as the portal of liberation. As you practice, you may notice subtle shifts, a new calm, an unexpected insight, a sense of lightness in your step. These are the living signatures of freedom echoing through your architecture, resonating outward into the world. So now in this moment, let yourself rest in presence. Feel the living architecture of your body, the silent portals you have opened. Ask yourself, what is the frequency I choose to embody now? What new resonance will I seed into the generations yet to come? Remember, you are both the temple and the bell, both the observer and the observed, both the inheritor and the liberator. In this silent, subtle revolution, you are returning home. You have journeyed through the silent corridors of your own living architecture, unlocking hidden portals and decoding the ancient vibrations held deep within. Through the sacrum's wave, the jaw's gentle yielding, and the diaphragm's rhythmic breath, you have been invited into a new relationship with yourself, one where presence is the guiding light and freedom arises not from escaping your story, but from transforming it at the vibrational core. Let this remembrance be your companion. True independence is not a flag raised on distant shores or a badge of outer accomplishment, but a subtle, resonant frequency felt in the marrow of your being. It is a return to your own soul's temple, a reclamation of sovereignty that ripples forward and backward in time, harmonizing the legacies you carry and the realities you create. As science and spirit both affirm you are the observer, the alchemist, the sacred architect of your experience. As you drift towards sleep or rise into a new day, carry these living codes within you. Let the subtle movements guide you into deeper presence. Share this vibration with someone who might need it. A whisper, a gesture, a moment of silent resonance. Remember, to return home to your body is to reclaim your reality, and to embody your soul's true frequency is the quiet revolution that changes everything. If this journey has resonated with you, I invite you to share your experience below or subscribe to continue exploring these living mysteries together. You are not alone on this path. Your presence, your liberation, your vibration matters. Welcome home.